This video is brought to you by catbeast.com. Design your own custom snapbacks and hats.
Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Outsole Brothers channel, and this is my first impressions look on the Puma MB.02. So of course this is Lamelo Ball's second signature shoe with Puma, and it retails for 130 bucks. Unfortunately, they did raise the price. I believe the MB1 ranged from 120 bucks to 130 bucks. It was super hard to get a pair. I don't know why Puma is limiting the amount of shoes releasing. Like every colorway I feel like sold out very quickly, and it was pretty hard to get, honestly, right? But the MB2, actually this colorway is still available on Puma.com, and there's still a good amount of sizes available as well. So if you guys don't want to cop it, try to leave an affiliate link in the description box. But let's get it started off with the Tracciones, and in this colorway we have pretty much a fully translucent outsole. And then from the MB1, if you guys remember, like this pattern, that's pretty much the pattern here in the forefoot, right? And also one thing that I noticed as well is that it says 1 of 1 here in the midfoot. That's pretty cool, right? Am I tripping? Does that say? Yeah, it does say 1 of 1 here. And then here in the heel we got the Puma logo, right? So how does the traction feel on my wood floors? Holy crap guys, it feels really good. And yeah, I mean the MB1 had really good traction for me. You know, the court that I play on, I had amazing stops, and for the MB2 it feels really nice so far. The bite seems really good. I mean, it feels like you're gonna stop on a dime. It has a nice loud high-pitched squeak as well, which I like. As far as the durability goes though, the durability is terrible. I mean, the MB1 had pretty hard rubber. This will definitely be good on the outdoor court. But here on the MB2, the rubber is really soft, right? And the grooves are really thin. So probably not the best option for an outdoor court. It says rare here in the forefoot as well, just like here in the MB1. You guys remember that? And also, another thing that they added, or actually kept the same, is the outsole curvature, which I really like, but it's a lot more subtle, right? So the MB1 had a crazy curve shape like the Kyrie 2, Kyrie 3, and the Kyrie 4, right? So it like really kept you on the balls of your feet, like on the medial side. The MB2 is a little bit more like the Kyrie 6, Kyrie 5-ish, right? It's a little bit more flat, but you can still, you know, there's still a little bit of a curve, you know, and it kind of keeps you on the balls of feet a little bit more than traditional, like more flatter soles, right? And also we have rubber coming up on the medial side as well, so you have more grip when you're doing these types of movements. So I really like that. It feels amazing. I'm super glad that they still kept that, right? So the traction is feeling really good so far, besides the durability. And also I'm a little bit worried about dust though. I mean, the grooves are very close together, so hopefully it doesn't pick up too much dust, but I'm liking the traction so far. All right, moving on to the heel to toe transition. It feels very nice so far, right? So here in the heel we have a nice rounded and curved shape. The nitro foam is kind of caged here in the back of the heel, especially from this heel counter, but we still have pretty good compression, right? And then here in the forefoot we have a nice curved shape and a little bit of forefoot flex. It's more on the stiffer side of things, right? But you know, we have a really curved shape, so I don't think that's going to bother me all too much. Here in the MB1 we had a little bit more flex actually, so I wonder how that's gonna feel. Maybe it'll propel me forward a little bit, you know, like if it's a stiffer kind of sole here in the forefoot, it kind of propels you forward a little bit better, right? As opposed to something a little bit more flexible. It all depends on what you like, you know, as far as your preference goes, but there is a little bit of a difference there, but for the most part it's pretty damn similar for heel to toe transition. Moving on to the cushioning setup, so it definitely is an improvement from the MB1 in my personal opinion. So we got full length nitro foam, and it's way less cage, especially here on the lateral side in the heel, right? So remember the MB1, we had this plastic cage with the 3 X's. That definitely limited the compression, right? Especially here in the heel, which didn't feel too nice. But the MB2, there's a lot more compression, and nitro foam is actually quite nice. Like I said, it is a little bit more cage right here in the back of the heel, but it compresses a lot more here on the lateral side, which I like. Also, the heel seems a little bit lower to the ground. The forefoot feels very similar as well, and step-in comfort is really nice because the insole is actually really thick. You know, just very similar to the MB1. And also the MB1, like the insole didn't bottom out that much. You know, it did bottom out a little bit, but it's still pretty nice for stepping comfort. So I do like that. And as far as the strobo board goes, there is a little bit of foam to it as well. So stepping comfort is actually pretty good. Overall, it feels like the MB1, but a little bit nicer because there's a little bit more compression, right? And it's also lower to the ground here in the heel. I still feel like it's gonna be very good impact protection. And also, as far as the court feel goes, it's all right. You know, it's not the most amazing shoe for court feel, especially comparing it to like, you know, the PG6 or the 808.2 and stuff like that, but it's very similar to the MB1 if you guys have ever played in this. Just a little bit lower to the ground here in the heel, right? All right, moving on to the material. So they're calling this an EM, like an engineered mesh, engineered woven mesh actually, and they're calling it the disruptive upper. And we got a multi-zoned material as well for structured support. So it's basically just like a screen mesh, honestly, right? So if you look here, right, you can see that there's an underlying like open kind of like weave mesh, and then over that we have like a screen mesh material, and then we have a lot of freaking fuse, and it looks very shiny. It's really reflective as well, so it stands out a lot. And if you're flashy, I feel like you definitely like it. I don't know if every colorway is gonna be like this, but honestly, in my personal opinion, it looks kind of, I don't like it. I wish it was a little bit more of a matte color like here, right? Also here on the lateral side, we got kind of like the Puma logo, and I do like the overall design, right? So this is kind of like the angel wing design, but right here, it looks more like flames, right? And you know my girl, she called it like hot Cheetos. Like she ate some food and she had hot Cheetos with mac and cheese. I don't know why they were having that at a restaurant. I don't know why she ordered it, but that's what she said it reminded her of. So yeah, shout out to her. But anyways, as far as the overall materials go, it feels pretty damn supportive. And it's a little bit more on the rigid side of things, you know, especially comparing it to the MB1. The MB1 is, I mean, this material is broken in, right? But it's a little bit softer. Right. Also, like the MB1 feels a little bit thicker though. Yeah, it definitely feels a little bit thicker, I feel like, right? Comparing it to the MB2. But the MB2, like it feels thinner, but it's a little bit more rigid, right? It's kind of weird. It's a little bit hard to explain, right? So there is a little bit of pinching right here where the shoe kind of folds. You know, it's a little bit stiff right here. It doesn't hurt or anything. It just kind of digs into the top of my toe just a tiny bit, and something that I noticed, especially comparing to the MB1. Also here in the midfoot area, this material stays pretty like stiff, you know, so that's good for support, but it doesn't feel like super soft, right? For the tongue, we have a good amount of padding, just like in the MB1. You know, it's a large tongue and it feels super cozy. And also here in the ankle area, it has pretty much the same amount of padding as well. Very, very cozy. It doesn't feel super bulky either, which I like. So overall, it feels nice, and for the most part, it feels really similar to the MB1, but just a tiny bit different here, like in the toe box, right? But for the tongue and ankle area, it's very similar. But I guess the MB1, like as far as like the embroidering goes, that's definitely like better quality in my personal opinion, right? All right, moving on to the fit. I went true to size and it fits me very well, just like the MB1, right? So my toes go pretty much right to the edge of the shoe. It's a snug fit here in the toe box. I can kind of curl my toes up, but for the most part, it's a really snug fit. And also width-wise, I would say it's slightly narrow, just like in the MB1. So yeah, whatever size you got in the MB1, pretty much go the exact same size here in the MB2. And it's a very nice snug fit for me, so I really like it overall. If you have a wide foot or you want a roomier fit, I would suggest going up half a size. All right, moving on to the support and lockdown. That's one thing that the MB1 did very, very well. And I feel like the MB2 is going to be very supportive as well. So for lateral containment, there's not a whole lot of sidewalls, especially here in the forefoot and also here in the midfoot, but this material is super supportive. And I guess we have this fuse. The only thing I'm worried about is I guess like this material kind of like rolling over on itself, but it doesn't look like it does that much, right? So I feel like it'll be overall super supportive. And also the MB1 didn't really have like a lateral counter here in the forefoot. I guess a little bit with this fuse material, but anyways, there's that. And also here in the heel, we have this external heel counter, right? This plastic external heel counter, and also with the I think like Melo has this tattooed, right? But yeah, I mean, lateral containment feels like it's gonna be very good, and lateral stability, I mean, I wish they would add a little bit of an outrigger, right? But I mean, it looks the same width. It looks like it's the same width as the MB1. In the MB1, I didn't really have any issues with lateral instability, so yeah, it's around the same. So lateral stability feels like it's gonna be good in the MB2 as well, and it's a mid cut, you know, but I still have pretty good ankle mobility, right? The MB1 is the same thing. So yeah, ankle support I don't think is gonna be good in the MB2. Moving on to the weight of the shoe, I feel like the shoe is gonna be on the heavier side of things, probably similar to the MB1, around 13 ounces, 13 and a half probably. 13.16 ounces. Let's check the other pair. 13.02 ounces, right? So it's actually not super heavy. The MB1 I feel like it's gonna be a little heavier. Yeah, 13.79 ounces, basically almost 14 ounces. So they did shed off a good amount of weight, and probably has to do with like this plastic, right? That's the only thing I can like think of. What else did they kind of shut off? Nothing else really. I mean, as far as the foam goes in the upper, it feels pretty similar as well. So yeah, damn, it definitely does feel a little bit lighter, but the overall feel of the shoe is super similar. So there is the weight there. Moving on to the aesthetics, it's growing on me a little bit, but I don't know, guys. I don't like the fuse pattern. It looks like flames and it looks a little tacky to me. Especially with this like reflective kind of like shinier fuse, right? The MB1 definitely looks a lot better in my personal opinion, but the MB2, hopefully it grows on me, or maybe like some different colorways come out. I definitely don't think it's a terrible or ugly design, but it's not my favorite, right? So tell us what you guys think of the MB2 down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, yeah, the MB2 is feeling amazing. The traction feels top tier so far. I love the outsole curvature. The cushion feels like an upgrade, right? Especially here in the heel. Materials feel a little bit thinner, but just as supportive, and I do like the cozy feel in the back of the shoe. It feels very supportive. It fits me well. So my first impressions are really good. I love how it feels so far. It definitely feels like an upgrade comparing it to the MB1. I guess the only thing I like about the MB1 is the aesthetics, and I guess the MB1 having a little bit more curve in the outsole curvature, but I mean the MB2 still has that, so it's not a huge deal, right? So yeah, my first impressions of the MB2 are looking real good so far, and I'm super excited to playing it. Again, if you guys do want to cop, I'll try to leave the affiliate link in the description box, but that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.